4 o'clock if y'all want to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So. Am I getting it?
You're it.
I'm looking around. All right, the meeting is now called to order. And first thing on the agenda here is we need to look at the minutes from our last meeting and.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
We do the public comment section.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Just read the public comment section and we can get to it.
Okay. Citizens who desire to address the city council board and or commission in person. Would
Clear the.
with regard to matters on the agenda must complete a request to speak form and give it to the city secretary or designee prior to the beginning of the meeting. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Speakers requiring a translatory will have 6 minutes, regardless of the number of agenda items to be addressed. Comments or discussion by the city council, board, and or commission members will only be made at the time the subject is scheduled for consideration.
There was no public comment.
Okay, so. And now is there anyone who is wanting to speak today?
Do we have anybody signed up? Nope.
All right, then. Sounds like we've got some. Okay, consideration of an action on the minutes of June 14th, 2023 meeting.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Watley and
And
second by Ferguson, Councilman Ferguson. All right, and so today we're going to receive training related to the Sugarland Code of Ethical Conduct and state laws regulating ethics and reporting responsibilities of city officials. Meredith Wright,
That's pretty close, yes.
city attorney, will be speaking.
I'm darn, you can't do it.
Hey, you did good. Hey, I'm over here.
Okay, I can do this on the fly. No. There's
You-
2 state laws that apply. Do you want me to go ahead and do it without the slide?
Can you just click the mouse, please? And it should move now. Thank you.
Look at that. Now you have to look at my pictures. Woo! All right. So since this is a TIRZ board, not city council, you are not regulated by the Code of Ordinances, rules of ethical conduct. You are stuck with just 2 state laws. So this is your ethics presentation. Because I'm an ethical person, I'm letting you know. I don't own these images. Hasbro does. So when you're looking at ethics, you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. What am I required to do? And what happens if I decide I don't want to do that? As I mentioned a moment ago, there's 2 state laws that you need to know about, Chapter 171 and Chapter 176. So Chapter 171 is conflicts of interest. And so under Chapter 171, what are you prohibited from doing? You can go to jail if you fail to file an affidavit and abstain from items that you have an interest in. And you're going, what's a substantial interest? Well, a substantial interest is a business entity if you, your spouse, your parent, or your child own 10% or more of the voting stock, own 15,000 or more of the fair market value, or if your income for the last year is 10% or more from that entity. And if you have a substantial interest in personal property, you, your spouse, your parent, or child have an equitable or legal ownership with a fair market value of 2,500 or more, or you live within a certain distance and you get this little letter in the mail that says, hey, guess what? you're within 200 feet, you might be impacted. And if you have either of these interests, I need you to file a affidavit stating the nature and extent of your interest in the matter. So it's my business income, this is my address, I live here, I own this company, or my spouse, my parent, or my child does. And you must abstain from participation in a discussion of the vote on the matter. And you must file this affidavit with the city secretary's office prior to any discussion occurring. If you come in, you see on the agenda, you go, oh crud, and you ask for that form, you fill it out, you turn it in. Now, you're not required under state law to leave the room, but I would highly recommend that you do so. It just makes it a lot clearer to the public that you are not sending any Astros type signs to anybody, steel base, vote for my item, and it just looks a lot better and you don't have as much fun with the district attorney's office. But for some reason, if you decide, like I said, the second question, you don't want to do that, what's going to happen to you? It's a class A misdemeanor. You're going to spend a little bit of time in the county bed and breakfast. You have a fine of $4,000 or jail for up to 1 year. And if you're having a really bad day, it could actually be both. So I highly recommend you just look at the agenda and fill out that little piece of paper. Yes, ma'am.
What do you do if you just aren't sure?
You can call me. I am more than happy to answer your question. I can even send you an email that you can go, district attorney, our lawyer said this, and then it's on me, not you. And then I get to go to the county bed and breakfast, which is not going to happen because I'm pretty conservative and I read the law and I make sure that you're all completely covered. So, and the other chapter 176, this is my favorite. This is called the gift statute. I call it gifts, state law calls it gifts, the district attorney's office calls it bribes. We have a little difference of opinion, but at the end of the day, as long as you tell us about it, you're fine. This is a lot more fun around the holidays, even when you're starting to get turkeys and Christmas gifts, Hanukkah gifts, anything else that people want to give you because they're going to try to influence you. So what are you required to do under the gifts? You're required to file a disclosure statement reporting certain business relationships and the receipt of these gifts. And it has a time period, 5 p.m. on the 7th business date, after you become aware of the conflict or after you receive the gift. So how do you become aware of the conflict? You see the agenda item, you go, oh, look, the person didn't invite me to lunch just because they wanted to be my friend. They wanted me to vote for something. I'm going to file this form. Now, on the next slide, you're going to see there's actual dollar amounts. So when do you have to disclose a business relationship? Let's go back to 3rd degree by blood, 2nd degree by marriage. That's the items on the agenda. You got to say, hey, look, that's my kids, that's my spouse, that's my best friends. And you can vote if it's your best friend, but you can't vote if you're related to the person. And if you have income, once again, it's $2,500 or more in the last 12 months. And it's a 12-month period from the date of the agenda, not a calendar year. So when do you get to brag about these gifts? When the cumulative value of the gifts reach $100 with a little asterisk. The asterisk is if you're eating with the vendor a meal, you don't have to brag. So if you're sitting at the dinner table or at a conference or at a sporting event and that vendor is within talking distance to you, order that second glass of wine, get the fanciest dessert on the menu, just go hog crazy and get that appetizer because you don't have to talk about that. If you have to sit there and listen to their conversation, then you can enjoy as much as you want. If they want to give you a gift card or a food basket, you really need to keep an idea generally of how much that costs. And gifts also include lodging, transportation, and entertainment. So you could get in a situation where they gave you tickets to an out-of-town ball game. They asked her to say, hey, look, we know you got Minute Maid over here. We know, I guess Minute Maid's empty, but we know you have Space Cowboys over here. We're going to take you up to Round Rock, let you see the Express. We're going to fly you up there first class in our personal private jet. We're going to give you the best food and wine you can imagine on this plane, and you're going to sit there in our suite. You're going to have to disclose that because that definitely exceeds the $100. Even if that person is sitting next to you, the cost to get there, your tickets are going to be more than $100, and that aspect has to be reported. Now, you could wait until you hit what you think is a $100 mark, but what I'm going to recommend you do is when you do it, just keep a tally or go ahead and have that form filled out and turn it in. It's not required until you hit that $100, but that way you don't forget or have to remember, okay, Bob took me to lunch Monday, this vendor took me to lunch Wednesday, Thursday, and get so many, it's hard to keep track. Or at least I don't, because nobody has yet to bribe me. I'm holding out hope. So, the age-old question number 2, and if you decide you don't want to brag about your gifts, the district attorney says, it's a Class C misdemeanor. So they're not as offended to this one as they are the conflict of interest. And then if you are the deciding vote on that contract, it is declared void and we get to do it all over again with a different vendor without you in the room. So do you have any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you for making that so interesting.
Oh, you bet. Ethics is my favorite thing.
I'm gonna put you to sleep.
Okay, Justin Morado, interim director of budget and strategy. Consideration of an action on the fiscal year 2023 budget to projects amendment and adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget.
Let's see how this microphone works today.
All right, so on the agenda for this afternoon, we're gonna do an update on the fiscal year 23 incremental tax values and revenues. And then we're gonna look at that impact on fiscal year 23 budget projections. Then we'll look at the FY 24 incremental tax values and revenues. Then we'll look at the proposed FY 24 budget. And then we'll ask you to take action on amending the FY 23 budget and approving the proposed FY 24 budget. So we're looking at an update with supplement number 10 to the 2022 tax year goals. We're picking up just under 2.5 million in approved values. At the time of certification last year, we had roughly 23.2 million in value still under review, of which 92.3% had made it onto the approved value as a supplement number 10. We look at the city and county rules separately due to the differences in their exemptions. On the city side, from the time of certification, we've picked up an additional 80 homestead exemptions and an additional 27 over 65 exemptions. This is resulting in an additional 7.1 million in exempted value. On the county side, those same additional exemptions results in an additional 10.8 million in exempted value. Looking at how that impacts our tax revenues, on the city side, it's just over $8,000. On the county side, it's just over 18,000. This is roughly a 1.6% decrease from the original budget estimates. At the total projections for the fund, with these adjustments to the revenues, as per the tri-party agreement between the city, the district, and the Imperial Redevelopment District, 98% of the revenues are sent over to the IRD, and the remaining 2% go towards city administrative expenses. So we have adjusted the expenses here accordingly with the reduction in revenues, resulting in a projected ending fund balance of $0. For incremental values in comparison to the latest supplement to the current tax year, we're picking up roughly 63.5 million in additional approved value. We currently have 6.1 million still under review by the ARB. We do have an increase of 8.3 million in exemptions on the city side. This is to be expected with council's previous decision to increase the homestead exemption from that 13 to 15%. No changes to the base value there. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna forget if I don't ask you now. On the exemption and abatements, do you have a breakdown of what's exemptions and what's abatements? And as far as abatements, is there an expiration on those to make that change? Because exemptions are, I assume, ongoing.
So the exemptions are going to be ongoing. I can get you the info on the abatement. Currently, let's see. On the county certified roll, total exemptions are 94 million, and of that, 16.7 is one abatement. City side, it's the same 16.7 out of a total of 75 million in exemption.
Thank you.
Okay. So net of the changes in the value and the changes to exemptions on the city side, we're looking at an additional taxable incremental value of 61.3 million. And on the county side, 65.7 million additional taxable value. So when you bring over those incremental taxable values, you look at the proposed rates for each of the participating entities. We're looking at 1.8 million in incremental tax revenues for FY 24. expenditure side, 2% of the revenues go towards supporting administrative operating expenses of the city, with that remaining 98% going to the IRD. Total expenses 1.8 million. So we're allocating all of the received revenue towards the expenditures. Summary of the total FY24 budget, you see your incremental property tax revenue of 1.8 million. We do collect a little interest income on the fund balance for total revenues of 1.804. That IRD assignment at 1.76 million is 98% of the total revenue, with the remaining funding and fund balance allocated towards administrative city costs. So first motion is to approve FY23 amendment to projections.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right,
Approved.
second motion is to approve FY24 proposed budget.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the amending FY23 budget projects?
Motion to approve.
Oh, no, 24.
That's it. For the proposed FY24 budget improvement.
Okay, budget approval. Motion by Councilman Ferguson, second by Councilman Watley. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved.
Okay. That's all I have for you this afternoon.
Good job.
All right. Is there a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Councilman Ferguson.
Approved.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, thank you.
Very, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.